Welcome back to Words of Paradise. I'm your host, Leon Idle, and I've made it incredibly clear on this channel multiple times. I love Futurama. I think it is genuinely the single greatest adult-oriented cartoon ever made. You like your BoJack Horseman's? That's fine. Get out the way. Futurama's better. You like yourself some Big Mouth? Okay, well, you're just flat wrong. Big Mouth is trash. Point is, Futurama can do no wrong. And while, yes, it did, when it switched to Comedy Central, take a downturn here and there, it wasn't quite as consistently amazing, it still had, arguably, both of the most perfect series finales of any series ever. Most series, or at least half series, can't even stick the series finale. This one had two. The first series finale when it was canceled, and then another series finale when it was brought back, and it nailed that as well, which is why I am incredibly hesitant about the revival on Hulu, and which is why I also say, with a very heavy heart, that the Futurama reboot, revival, whatever you want to call it, will fail. And that sucks. And when I say fail, I don't mean by the numbers. I think it'll get watched in droves. I think it'll do just baller numbers. And I think it will absolutely fail in terms of measuring up to the original and having the longevity of the original. But let's go through this article, Futurama Reboot Releases Window Revealed by Star, and check out and see what it has to say. Futurama star Lauren Tom gives fans a hint about when the reboot may arrive, teasing the new episodes will appear beginning in summer 2023. So not too terribly far off, which is funny, because I've actually spent the last couple days, I watch Futurama to go to bed every night. It's literally my comfort show. I put it on, I've seen it so many times, I can roll over, close my eyes, the episode just plays in my head, and I can drift off, take my snooze cruise on board the Planet Express. That being said, I've been wondering the last few days, because we haven't heard anything about it in a while, when it's coming. So this is actually perfect timing for this article. Let's check it out. Futurama star Lauren Tom reveals a summer 2023 release window for the highly anticipated Hulu reboot. Fresh off delivering the iconic animated show The Simpsons, Matt Groening next unleashed an animated look at the far future that delivered even more of the warped humor the famed cartoonist had become known for. Though Futurama was never ascended to the same ratings heights as The Simpsons, the show did attract its own devoted cult following. Okay, I don't think you should call it a cult following. It's still massive. It's not as big as The Simpsons, but a cult following means it has a small but dedicated fan base. The Futurama fan base wasn't small. It just wasn't as big as The Simpsons. And let's be honest, very few things ever are. I mean, what's as big as The Simpsons? Pokemon? Star Wars? Harry Potter? I mean, literally some of the biggest names, The Simpsons is right up there with them. So it's not a cult thing to be a Futurama fan. Sorry, I'm already semi-annoyed at this article, but I had to get that out there. Going on to run for 4 seasons on Fox and later 3 more seasons on Comedy Central, though season 5 was in truth a quartet of Futurama movies cut up into 16 episodes. The frustrating reality of Futurama's devoted fans is that it's now been 10 years since the show's final episodes ran on Comedy Central. And that's not frustrating. It's really not, at least not for me. Sometimes shows should just end. Things should just end, especially if they have a good ending. Or like I said in the case of Futurama, 2 absolute golden endings. We don't always need things to keep coming back. And while I would love for more Futurama, I only want that to be the case if the quality is still there. And in the current climate we're at, with the current way that shows are being made and Hollywood works, I don't know that the quality is going to be there, and it's terrifying to think about, but maybe I'll go into that in some more detail in a bit. Let's continue. I just really want to stress that not everything needs to come back, guys. Some stuff can just be good in its own bubble in the past and can be rewatched over and over and over. Eventually they're going to reboot The Office, and, that's going to be its own thing. They're going to reboot Seinfeld. No, they'll never reboot Seinfeld, thank God. But things like that are happening. Sometimes we should just appreciate what we had and not go back to it with new stuff. But I digress. Hopefully not too much longer till the next revival, right? You see Lauren Tom. The new episodes should be released sometime this summer. Can't wait for you to see them. Hashtag Futurama. But there is, of course, good news, everyone! For those who missed the antics of Fry, Benner, Leela, and the gang, as Futurama is set to return thanks to Hulu. And now cast member Tom, who voices the character of Amy, has given patient fans a happy update, revealing on Twitter the new episodes of Futurama should arrive in the summer of 2023. Everything we know about the Futurama reboot. First rumblings of a possible Futurama reboot were heard in 2020 when the cast members began discussing their willingness to return. The revival was not made official until 2022, however, when a reboot was finally announced with the original cast returning, except for John DiMaggio as Bender, which would have been an immense mistake. For one, as someone that loves doing impressions and as someone who loves voice acting in general, Bender is one of the most difficult impressions to do. And there's a documentary called I Know That Voice that Don DiMaggio made himself where he explains why Bender is so difficult to do. For one, it is 3 impressions rolled into one of them being an impression of John DiMaggio himself just with little alterations, then 2 other real-world people he knew. So you can't replace anyone for the cast of Bender, for the voice of Bender. People may be able to do a John DiMaggio impression, maybe able to do a Jake the Dog impression, whatever, but you can't do a Bender impression because you then have to master 3 different impressions, 2 of which are off real people that John knew in real life that most of us probably don't know, and then mix them together. So just doing the show without him, it wouldn't work. You know, it's just not Futurama without Bender, and it's not Bender without John DiMaggio. The popular DiMaggio's apparent ouster from the Futurama fold naturally set off a firestorm of controversy, which DiMaggio himself was happy to stoke by sharing social media reaction. The flap would prove short-lived, however, and within weeks it was announced that DiMaggio had worked out his issues with the producers and he would be back as the voice of kleptomaniac Bending Unit 22. Yeah, well, and if everything we heard, the issue was about pay. First of all, as much as I love Billy West, John DiMaggio is arguably one of the greatest voice actors of our time. And he knows his worth. I mean, not only is the dude Bender, not only is the dude Jake the Dog, not only has he voiced 1,000 other things, not only is he the best Joker. That's right, I said it, Hamill fanboys. John DiMaggio is, in my opinion, the best Joker. Hamill's fine and all that, but go watch Red Hood. That, for me, is the definitive Joker. And that's not Hamill, that's DiMaggio. That's right, Bender the Broken Robot is the Joker. Point is, he knows his worth. So if he's saying, well, I'm not going to come back unless you pay me, some people might say that that's a diva move. Some people might say that, oh, you know, he could be keeping, you know, a good thing from the rest of us. Now, voice actors, they get paid for, you know, for their time on shows, and then that's it. You know, there's very rarely residuals or anything. They have to always be going on auditions. If they're not willing to pay him what he's worth, dude, nah, full support. Little's been teased about what Bender and company will get up to when Futurama finally returns from its long hiatus. However, episode titles were revealed in late 2022, and it seems the show is set to dive into some pretty controversial topics. And this right here is what I'm worried about. Let's look at these episode titles and tell me if you see an issue. The Impossible Stream. Alright, nothing there. I mean, they're moving to streaming, so it's going to be, that's a big thing. They did a similar thing when they moved to Comedy Central. They make a joke literally in the first episode where, you know, oh, this is Earth's Central Channel for shipping. It's kind of a Comedy Central channel, and we're on it now. Like, you know, that's fine. But, okay, Rage Against the Vaccine. Oh, that's a little worrisome. I mean, are you going to make this an apolitical thing and make fun of both sides, or are you going to only make fun of one side? Zap gets canceled. Okay, that's another similar complaint. This is going to be making fun of both sides. You're going to take a hard angle on one side. The problem I'm getting at with this, Futurama has always made political jokes, but it has very, very often always made fun of both sides. Now, Hulu had another revival recently, The Animaniacs, another one of the greatest cartoons ever made. And the revival was garbage. Because the Animaniacs, which used to be just a force of chaos, a force of anarchy, now had a very, very clear political lean, which alienated half the audience, and they were also just low-hanging fruit, easy jokes that anyone on Twitter could make. I'm so terrified that Futurama is going to fall into this same trap. It's so easy to make pro-left-leaning jokes, you know, Orange Man bad, things like that, make fun of the right wing who didn't like the vaccines, the lockdowns, whatever, but Futurama has never been that. Futurama has always been taking shots at all sides, making fun of culture as a whole. And if anything we saw from Animaniacs is proof that Hulu is not willing to do that, well, then Futurama could fall into the same trap. I know it's not the same writing team as, you know, Animaniacs, but it's still Hulu, which is owned by Disney, which has a very particular lean, and it's a lean that we've seen in Hollywood the past pretty much decade, and it's a lean I'm getting tired of. Not because I'm conservative or anything like that. Again, I've said many times, I'm firmly down the middle of my political beliefs. Some stuff I agree with on the left, some stuff I agree with on the right. It just depends on the issue itself. But when comedy, if you want to call it that, comedy, only has one political leaning, one, you know, just off to one side, for one, jokes get repeated, that's boring. Second, it takes away all nuance, because any nuanced individual will find humor in both sides, will make fun of both sides, and won't be afraid of making jokes at both sides. But with Disney owning Hulu and both of them having a very, you know, particular political lean, they might say, you know, nope, can't tell this joke, nope, can't tell this joke, makes fun of our people, can't tell that. How much power do the writers have to, you know, tell the jokes they want to tell without, you know, the House of Mauschwitz putting their foot down and saying you can't do X, Y, Z? Hopefully not very much power, but I don't know. Also, do the writers, have they stayed the same as they were back then? Or have they fallen into the trap of, oh, we disavow some of this old stuff, it wasn't okay, you know, it was cancelable, whatnot, and now, of their own volition, they're only writing in one particular direction. I genuinely hope that this is not the case. I really want the Futurama revival to be great. I want it to be something special and add to an already amazing pantheon of 7 near-perfect television seasons. But I just don't have the faith because of what we've seen out of modern Hollywood, because of what we've seen with the Animaniacs reboot. It's sad. Let's continue. The Prince and the Product. All right, that sounds like it's probably just going to be about, like, commercialism and whatnot. That could be fine. Or is it going to be an anti-capitalism message? Which, again, very particular lean. Related to items you viewed. All right, that might be like a social media side thing. Facebook, targeted advertising. Again, I'm purely just spitballing here. Which maybe that could be fun. But Facebook as a company, Mark Zuckerberg announced, had a very particular lean. Is it going to make fun of both sides? Only one side? And again, I don't want them just making fun of the left either. I want to make this clear. I wouldn't be happy if they only took shots at the left. I would be unhappy for the same reasons if they only took shots at the right. It should be a down the middle, all around cultural thing. And it's very easy to come at me and be like, oh, well, you're not writing on Futurama. What do you know about TV writing? What do you know about comedy? You're not a funny man. Look, comedy is the highest form of art out there. If I had it my way, I'd be a stand-up comedian. I wish I had the balls to go out to an open mic night. Maybe one of these days I will, with the stand-up routine that I've been working on for quite some time now. It is a dream. I love comedy. I want to see comedy flourish. I'm quite over a lot of modern comedy that isn't some of the greats like Dave Chappelle, because there's just no edge to it anymore. People are afraid, unless you're a big established name that's been grandfathered in, like Dave Chappelle, like Norm Macdonald before his passing, R.I.P. Norm, like, people just are afraid to be edgy and afraid to be political. That's only in one side of the aisle. But again, Futurama wasn't exactly inherently political. It just occasionally did political jokes. It was a family show at the end of the day. I mean, not appropriate for kids, not that sort of family. But like the workforce, the Futurama crew were a family, and so much of the comedy came from the strength of their character, not the real world. That was there, of course. Pop culture shows always make pop culture jokes, but they only land because of the strength of the characters. Now, are we going to see the characters change because of political alignments in modern-day Hollywood? I think that's a fair view, a fair fear to have. Children of a Lesser Bog, How the West Was 101001. I mean, this right here sounds like it could be like an anti-colonization sort of messaging in comedy. Again, particular lean. I Know What You Did Last Xmas, Parasites Regained. Now this one, I don't see any political leaning here. This could literally be a follow-up to the Parasite episodes, the worms that made Fry super smart. Maybe they're coming back, which honestly, it's one of my favorite episodes. It could be very cool to revisit that, or it could be beating a dead horse with too much of a good thing. Maybe it can't capture that magic twice. Ghostbusters 2 style. Who knows? And then All the Way Down. I do hope that this is a one-off thing, that this is a one-off revival with one season, that it's not coming back for multiple seasons like it did with Comedy Central. If it is just a nostalgia, let's bring it back for one last hurrah, and it's good, leave it at that. But I'm still in the camp of we should not be touching it at all. The series finale was perfect. It will indeed be interesting to see how political Futurama chooses to get when it hits Hulu, apparently beginning this summer. The show has always had a satirical bent, of course, but it has never necessarily been associated with politics in the same way as, for instance, South Park. Yeah, that's exactly correct. South Park is inherently political, but again, South Park is very smart in that it takes shots at both sides. South Park, while I don't like it as much as Futurama, has incredibly great writing and is not afraid to take shots at either side, but again, it's inherently political. Futurama was never that. It was just political at times. And again, it made fun of both sides very equally. Along with the tone and story content, it will also be interesting to see what guest stars Futurama brings along for the ride when it returns from its long time floating alone in the void. The only guest to be confirmed so far is Coolio, who revealed to have recorded dialogue for the long-running character Quanzabot before passing away in 2022. That's so good. Quanzabot's so great. He's only in a few episodes, but he's great. I'm glad they were able to get Coolio in there before his passing. That's awesome. But yeah, that's the end of that article, and maybe this video is not going to get a lot of traction. Maybe no one's going to watch it. I don't know. But I'd like to see this video get really, shared out there, really liked. It's not something I often ask you guys to do, like, comment. I always ask you to like and comment, but I never ask you to share videos. This one I want shared because I really want the message out there that we Futurama fans, there are many of us all around the globe, we're not a cult thing like this article says. We want Futurama to stay true to its roots and not fall into the trap that so many other modern revivals and just comedy shows in general have fallen into. And I hope that's what we get. I really do. I don't have faith but I also have never wanted to be wrong more in probably quite some time. But that's just my opinion. Let me know yours in the comments below, or you can let me know on Twitter, where you can follow me at BoltTheWord. And if you enjoy my content, please check out the back catalog. I've got nerdy news for video games, Star Wars, Magic the Gathering, you name it, you can find it here in the Nerdosphere. So please subscribe, because until next time, this has been Words of Paradise.